Hey everybody, it's Gabby and it is time to gab about some books.
This is actually going to be my 2016 reading, or 2016 end of the year survey. Lala and Books actually posted this, and I am just going to do the questions and go from there. So my year of reading was actually pretty darn good. And I started my YouTube channel I think I started it in July, I don't know. So without further ado, we're going to just jump straight into the questions, and yeah. I don't have any of the books with me, so it's just going to be me talking, which is so fun and exciting, right? How many books did you read? I ended up reading 52 books this year, and it was over my goal. I think originally I had posted it for 25 because that's what I've been kind of doing throughout each year. But because I had more time over the summer, I think I powered through 16 books over the summer, which got me over 25, so I figured I would go for more, and it was 52. So did you meet your goal? Yes, I met and exceeded my goal. So this coming year, I actually put it up to 75 to try to push myself. Most read genre was probably contemporary fiction, but if I had to like break it down into a subcategory, probably mystery thriller. Longest and shortest books read. So the longest book that I read was The Grown Up by Gillian Flynn, which was 64 pages. And then the longest book that I read was the Grimm Fairy Tales Omnibus Volume 1 by Joe Fresha, and that was 1,348 pages. The favorite book published in 2016, The Woman in Cabin 10 by Ruth Ware. It was published in 2016. It was not her debut album. I almost said debut album. Her debut novel, but it was still really good. I talked about that in one of my my other videos, so you can check that out. My favorite debut book in 2016 was In a Dark, Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. That was the first book that got me into wanting to buy her second book, and I heard that she's making another one, and I'm really excited about it, and hopefully it's along the same premises of everything else. Favorite book not published this year?
I would probably say
Me Before You by Jojo Moyes. That book, when I picked it up, I knew that I was going to like it, but I didn't know how much I was going to like it. The book was just, I know it's a morbid topic and it's supposed to be sad and all of that, but it also makes you smile throughout certain parts of it, and I definitely did cry, and people that were around me while I was crying and reading kept telling me to stop reading it, but I just couldn't. Like, the fact, I don't even want to talk about it, but it was just a really good book. I don't think it was released this year, but if it was, then oh well. The next question on the list, a book that lived up to the hype, was definitely The Girl on the Train by Paula Hawkins. I haven't seen the movie yet, but I really liked the book. I don't think it was my favorite, and I don't know if I rated it over a 3, but I'm very picky about those type of books, and it was really well written. I liked it a lot more than Gone Girl. Gone Girl, that kind of bored me a little bit. I will say that I was kind of probably biased about my review because I read The Girl on the Train right after finishing In a Dark, Dark Wood, and as all of you know, I really liked that. So I might actually want to reread The Girl on the Train just to see if my opinion of it changes. I think I was a little harder on it because I liked In a Dark, Dark Wood so much. The next question on this list is a book that did not live up to the hype. Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn. I could not stand the characters, and I know a lot of people have said that, but a lot of people have also said that the book is so good. And maybe it's because I saw the movie first, so I already know what was kind of going on, and I knew what the twist was and whatever. But it wasn't, I don't know. It took me a very long time to read it. I think I started reading it before the start of 2016, and then because it was on my e-reader, so it's easier for me to just put it out of sight, out of mind. But I couldn't really get into it, and I feel bad because it wasn't an awful story, and like I said, it could just be that I watched the movie first and then that's what happened. C'est la vie, you know, it is what it is. The next one on here, the book that felt like the biggest accomplishment was probably Parasite by Mira Grant. That book, when I first started reading it, took me so long to actually get into it, and then once Mira Grant like starts pulling in all these twists and turns, then I really got into it. And I don't know, it was one of those books where at the halfway point I was tempted to just put it back on my bookcase and tackle it at a different type, but then I forced myself to read a few more pages, and then once I read those few more pages I actually got into it. So it definitely took me a lot longer to read that one, and I just felt accomplished after I finished it and had it ticked off on my Goodreads. My favorite character, oh gosh, my favorite character of all my books that I've read this year was probably, I know everybody loves to hate him, but Negan from The Walking Dead. He's just like in the comics, he's just like that perfect villain, and you can tell that Robert Kirkman wants you to hate him so much that you can't help but love him. He's one of those characters where it's like you want to just be like, oh my gosh, just do something good for once. Because in a way you can tell that he could probably do something that's good. So he's probably one of my favorite characters, and not in the sense where I think like everything he does is good. He probably shouldn't do half the things that he does, and I'm not condoning any of it, but he's just a good addition to the Walking Dead series. So my least favorite character is Carl from The Walking Dead. I cannot stand him in the comics. I cannot stand him on the show. I think he's so annoying, and I think he just needs to leave. Whenever he's like in the comics, I'm like, gosh, half the things that happen are because of you. Like, he gets involved in things that he shouldn't, and then his dad has to fix it, or somebody else has to fix it, and it's just like, if you just sat still, or if you just stayed where you were supposed to, nothing would have happened in certain situations. He's just an annoying character, but he's supposed to be a kid, 16, so I guess like in that aspect, he has some excuse, but I cannot stand him. Like, every time I read his parts, I'm just like, oh my gosh, it's Carl again. But he's definitely my least favorite character. The most shocking book or the moment, The Woman in Cabin 10. I definitely knew that the main character, Nora, wasn't seeing things, but I didn't see the twist coming. Like, that just blew my mind. The one thing that was kind of a downfall for that book, though, was the fact that it really wasn't explained, and it kind of came out of nowhere, but it was a little bit more believable than her other twist in A Dark, Dark Wood. My favorite couple are OTP.
I don't know.
The book that I just read, and I have that book because I just finished it, from Rachel Gibson's Blue by You. Blue and Casper were really cute in this, and at the beginning it talks about how they met when they were younger, and then he leaves to go to, he's deployed, and then he comes back and it's 23 years later. It's a really quick little read. I guess they would, because it's kind of like a modern day Romeo and Juliet, where their families are against each other and there's this rivalry, but they somehow managed to fall in love. So I guess they would be my couple, I guess. The best book you read this year probably was A Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. I think that book was just so beautifully written, and it just had like this flow to it, and it was elegant, and it was emotional. Like, you really couldn't read it without feeling emotionally connected to the story. Even if you've never, I mean, I've had a few instances where I have had family members going through cancer treatments, and it is hard to see them going through that. So I could understand where this boy was coming from, and then dealing with the fact that it was his mother and he was a child, and it kind of hit me, and it connected with me on so many levels. So I think that's why I really liked it so much. But Patrick Ness had such a way of writing, and it was, I mean, like the cover says, it was compelling, it was powerful, and it was very impressive. And that was, oh, who said that? It was somebody on the cover of it, but it was really, really well written. The next question, book that you pushed the most people to read in 2016. I think I talked about In a Dark, Dark Woods so much, and my friend Jessica is borrowing it right now, and I've talked about it on here, and then I tried to get some of the girls I worked with at work to read it, and then I saw that my boss was reading, or my principal was reading Woman in Cabin 10, so I told her she should probably read In a Dark, Dark Wood as well. So probably that one. Favorite book cover of the year? This is a hard one because I love book covers so much, but I guess I'm gonna go, just because he's my man and I love him, I'm gonna go with It's Good to Be Gronk, just because I like him and I like seeing him on the cover. And it's just like, the way he looks on the cover, it's not, I don't know. I just love him. He's a beautiful man, so I'm gonna go with that. Which is probably so awful that that's why I'm picking it, because I think he's attractive, but it's Rob Gronkowski. I'm a big Patriots fan, but like, he's my number one, even though he might not continue playing because of all of his back surgeries, but whatever. My favorite adaptation was probably, I definitely thought that there were some things that could have been added to it, but the Maybe For You movie adaptation was actually pretty good. They did have a lot of pockets of, or like, they had a lot of spaces or places where they should have put more detail into them, but I definitely think that out of all of the movie adaptations that I've ever seen, it was one of the better ones. The casting was great, the acting was pretty decent, but like I said, there were some areas where they could have added a little bit more detail. I just felt like that movie was a little rushed. Like, it was like, boom, she gets the job, boom, she does this, boom, he's whatever, because I don't know if everybody knows what happens at the end of that book, but okay. So the next one, what book made you cry the most? It's a toss-up between Maybe For You by Jojo Moyes and When a Monster Calls by Patrick Ness. I cried to both of them. So I'm just going to go with those. I'm going to cop out on this one. I'm not going to pick one. I'm just doing both of them because I'm allowed to do that. Right? Right. The next one, what book made you laugh the most? That's a great question. I don't know if I really laughed at any of my books. Maybe For You made me laugh a few times, and I think that's really it. None of the other books really made me laugh out loud. Yeah. Maybe For You. It's a tearjerker, but it's also like a comedy. It's best of both worlds. The next question, a new favorite author you discovered this year. I feel like I've been saying her name nonstop, but Ruth Ware. I loved her first 2 books, so now I just want more. So put them out now. Thank you. That would be much appreciated by me. The guilty pleasure read of the year. I'm gonna go with the idea that I love Christmas stories, and out of the 2 that I read, yes, I only read 2, even though I had this like overly ambitious, I had like an overly ambitious Christmas TBR for this month, and I only got to 2 of them, but we'll get to that in another video. Probably the Fern Michaels Making Spirits Bright. It was also written by Elizabeth Bass, Rosalind Noonan, and Nan Rose Cedar. It was just a cute story, and I love Christmas books. I think they're so cute, and they're those fluffy reads that you need towards the end of the year, because I feel like at the end of the year, everybody's rushing to get some books power through, and that's my time when I'm just like, I want to read something light and where I don't have to think about it and it's just like, oh, how cute. So that was it. Favorite book you reread this year? If you know me, which you guys don't really know me that well, I don't really reread books because if you can see all those books on my bookcase, I have yet to even read once. So I don't have time to reread books. And I haven't really been compelled to reread books yet. I might possibly want to reread In the Dark, Dark Wood, but might not happen for like a few years. And the last question, were you happy with your reading year? What will you do different in 2016? I was very happy with my reading this year. Usually I only read 25 and sometimes it's not even that because I just don't push myself. This year I pushed myself and I got to 52 books. I think next year what I will do differently is make more time to read. I think the last few, or like starting in, not even the last few, like starting in July, I was just like, you know what? I do need to have time to read because before I was just kind of reading 1 or 2 books here and there. And now I'm forcing myself to read at least once a day, even if it's just for 30 minutes. So I think this year I'm going to pick books that I really want to read, like maybe 1 or 2 for each month. And then the other 2, I'm going to start doing the books that I've had for a longer time because I'm finding that I'm buying all these newer books and then I'm reading those, and then all the books that I've had for years are just staying in my bookcase, which I guess means that I don't really want to read them. But and I'm sorry guys, I'm feeling like nasally now, but like I said, I've been sick and it's been glorious, just in time for me to go back to school. So that was my quick little end of the 2016 reading survey. I will put the original video down below, and that's about it. I'm sorry that it was just me talking because, you know, that's super exciting for you guys. I did start a new Instagram. I'll put the link down below. It's Gab About Books on Instagram, you know, because I'm so original. But I've already put up 2 posts. One was my December wrap up, and then the other one is what I'm reading now, which is Kiss, Kill, Vanish by, I don't even remember who it's written by, but it's Kiss, Kill, Vanish by Jessica Martinez. And I'm going to be posting a December wrap-up video and a January TBR video very shortly.